What's going on there, YouTube? Welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, so we're going to continue our coverage over the X-Men, but now it's time for us to pick back up again with some more Wolverine comics. But now I'm going to cover another three-part story arc that's technically continuing a story that took place a couple videos ago. You see, 2 videos ago, we actually did a story where you had Wolverine and a few other characters being able to save the entire universe by going into the future. It was one heck of a storyline. But at the end of that storyline, our heroes came back to the present day. The problem was Jubilee had arrived in Tokyo, not back in America. And because she had Wolverine's motorcycle, they said, hey, listen, you're underage to drive that. And also, that vehicle does not have any import taxes paid. So with all that being said, you're being arrested. And so she had to call up Wolverine and come and get her out of Tokyo, Japan. And so now you have Wolverine and Gambit heading over there to save the young woman. Except they do have a small problem when it comes to them trying to get through the airport security. You see, when it comes to Wolverine, well, unfortunately, his bones are covered in metal, adamantium. And so when he walks through a metal detector, they're like, hey, you can't go on that plane at all because we have no idea if you're holding any kind of weapons. Now, for Wolverine at first, he does try his best to hide the idea that, well, he does have weapons inside of him. But they're like, hey, listen, you still can't go on there even if you're saying you have some kind of surgery done on you to have your bones covered in metal. And so you have Wolverine show the claws, and that was the final straw. They're like, hey, you definitely can't go now. And so you have Gambit tell Wolverine, you better call up Nick Fury to see if we have a way to get over there through him rather than going through the usual airport. But now we have to jump over to one of the many bad guys for today's video. Now, I'm not going to reveal who this character is. I'll tell you down the road later on in this video, but just know that she is another cyborg that was created by a character known as Donald Pierce. Now remember, Donald Pierce himself was a cyborg. He led a group called the Reavers, and they were all cyborgs. And their main goal was to, well, go after Wolverine and the X-Men and really all mutants across the board. But the number one goal was, well, Wolverine. With all that being said, they kept failing over and over again. And Donald Pierce tried so many different things to hopefully kill off Wolverine. With all that being said, he did create a cyborg before trying to go after Wolverine. This cyborg right here. And I'll tell you more about her later on in this video. But just know that she's going through a very interesting process to make sure that she also goes over to Tokyo so that she's able to hunt down Wolverine. But now we can jump over to Jubilee. But like I said earlier, Jubilee's in Tokyo. She has been arrested. She's waiting for Wolverine and Gambit to come get her. Now, while in her prison cell, she's also locked up with other prisoners who are trying to be a little rough with her, but she's able to use her powers against them. But after doing that, we do learn that one of the girls in that prison cell is actually a member of the Hand. And so now the Hand is also going to get involved in this crazy 3-part story arc. But now we jump back over to Wolverine and Gambit arriving in Japan. Now, when they do arrive, their main goal is to just go to the police department, get Jubilee, and get the heck out of there. But the problem is, though, you do have a taxi driver promise to take our heroes over to the police department, except he does not. Instead, he takes them over to a nearby car wash. And the reason why? Because he's working for the Hand. And you didn't have a few members of the Hand trying their best to kill off Wolverine and Gambit. Now, you do have our heroes being able to easily take these guys out. But now the question is, why is the Hand coming after Wolverine for? But then we learned that one of the many leaders of the Hand is actually in Tokyo right now, and that would be Matsuo. Now remember, Matsuo is just one of the many leaders of the Hand because the Hand has so many different factions out there in the world of Marvel Comics. But when it comes to Matsuo, he is responsible for what happened to Psylocke, the idea that he put her mind into an Asian woman's body. Also, when it comes to Matsuo, it does seem like he's making a deal with someone who's very close to Wolverine, and that would be Mariko. Now remember, Mariko is a lover of Wolverine, but unfortunately, they cannot be together, and here is the reason why. You see, when it comes to Mariko, she is the leader to the Yoshida clan. Now, the Yoshida clan is one of the big criminal empires in Tokyo, Japan. Now, the only reason why they're that big is because of her father. But apparently, before her dad had taken over the clan was not really big into doing criminal operations. They had their own thing going on. A very respectful clan of people. But her father changed things. He began to do a lot of illegal operations. And so her goal right now is to bring the clan back to what it was before her father had taken over. With all that being said, it does seem like that Mariko is making a deal with Masuo, and that's really big because Masuo is a big time criminal in Marvel comics around this time, especially in X-Men comics. So it's kind of like, wait a second, if you're trying to move away from the whole criminal underworld, why would you make a deal with this criminal? But getting back over to Wolverine and also Gambit, they do arrive at the police department. The problem is Jubilee is already gone. Apparently, she was transported to a facility for underage people. Now, with that being said, for Wolverine, he wants to leave, but they say you can't leave because two things. One, you still have not paid the import taxes on your motorcycle, and two, something else was shipped here to Tokyo under your name. And again, you did not pay the import taxes on that item. Now you have Wolverine wondering what in the world are they talking about, and they say, hey, you know what, we'll show you. We're currently holding it right now in the evidence room. But now I want to jump back over to Jubilee, because at this point we get another character who's going to be involved in this story arc, in this 3-part story arc. So you have Jubilee on her way over to this other facility, but then she realized that there is another woman in the van with her, and apparently this woman is Riko. Now Riko is a character we had talked about before. You see, there was a 3-part story arc where you had Wolverine going up against the Yakuza. Now, when that happened, he was able to kill off the boss of the Yakuza. The problem was, well, Riko. You see, Riko was technically being controlled by the Yakuza boss, and she felt like because he had died, she was finally free. Except she wasn't. You see, her boss was in debt to Masuo, the leader of the Hand. And because her boss did not pay his debt off, now she has to. And so you had Masuo take away her sight and say, until you are able to pay your debt off, you will be a blind woman. And so currently her goal is to kill off Jubilee to hopefully regain her sight. Now, getting back over to Wolverine and Gambit, remember that they were taken over to the evidence room to see, like, what is this other item that was imported into Tokyo? Well, we kind of find out it was that cyborg we saw earlier that was created by Donald Pierce. And apparently the cyborg has now been officially activated and now can go after Wolverine. But if you think we're done with all these different characters being this one single story, we're not done yet, because while you have Wolverine fighting against a cyborg, well, you see, we kind of find out that Sunfire was called in because he heard that the X-Men were going through a certain kind of problem. So now Sunfire is also involved in this story arc. Now, for a brief moment, I want to get back over to Jubilee, and here's the reason why. So you have Jubilee just trying to survive against Riko, but here's the thing. Riko has a blade that has a special kind of poison on it, and this poison, well, there's no antidote for it, and that kind of poison is going to be really important, really crucial for the ending of today's video. Now, with that being said though, you do have Riko trying her best to kill off Jubilee, until you have Jubilee say, hey, you know what? If you kill me, Wolverine gonna kill you. And that is when Riko realized, wait a second, you're close to Wolverine? I know him, and technically, I still owe the man. So like, I'm in his debt right now, which means I can't kill you off until I'm officially able to pay off my debt. Now, let's talk about who this special cyborg is. Her name is Scylla Markham. Now, when it comes to Scylla, this is a character we had talked about before. You see, there was a point in time where the X-Men were technically disbanded, and you had Forge and Banshee going out of their way to find the different members of the X-Men who were also missing. With that being said, they hired Scylla to be their pilot. The problem was she had just dropped off Forge and Banshee at a location and she was gonna fly away, except as soon as she pulled up in the sky, she was shot out of the sky and left to believe to be officially dead, except she had barely survived. And then she was found by Donald Pierce, who was able to give her a body, even though it is a cyborg body. And the reason why she's coming after Wolverine, because she still feels like she owes Donald Pierce to at least complete one of his missions. And one of those missions was killing off Wolverine. And so you have her right now trying to kill off our boy. Now, while you have Scylla and Wolverine fighting against each other in the evidence room, in the other part of the police department, you have Gambit and Sunfire fighting against the Hand, because they're also there to kill off Wolverine. Masuo wants the head of Wolverine delivered to him. And so now you have a huge battle just taking place in the middle of this police department. Gambit, Sunfire fighting against the Hand, Wolverine fighting against Scylla. Now, I want to jump back over to Jubilee because we're not technically done introducing all these different characters in this three-part story arc. You see, while you have Jubilee being able to walk away from Mariko, well, then she's confronted by another character who was actually close to Wolverine, and that would be Yukio. And she is, well, a very close friend of Wolverine that we have not seen in a very long time, but hey, she's now back for today's video. And so as we dive into the second chapter, we jump back over to the police department. Now, it's just one big chaos of a battle because you have Wolverine, Gambit, and Sunfire just fighting against their enemies inside the police department. And the police, yeah, they dipped out because of them. They can't do anything at all. What can they do to stop Wolverine, or Gambit, or Sunfire, or Crazy Cyborg, or a bunch of crazy ninjas? They can't do jack. And so, of course, they all dip out of there. Now, we do learn for Scylla that even though she's coming after Wolverine for Donald Pierce, she's also doing it because she loves the idea of just killing off people. She loves the idea of killing mutants right now, it seems. And right now, Wolverine is a big time challenge that she wants to actually bring down. And so you do have a fight just going on. Now, for Masuo, he knew that Wolverine was here. He knew that Gambit was here. He had no idea that Sunfire was here. And he's kind of wondering why in the world Sunfire is here right now in this big, huge battle. We know why, because he heard that, hey, there's some stuff going on with the X-Men, and because the X-Men are his allies, he has to help them out. But yeah, you have one heck of a battle just going on inside the police department. Now, you do have Sunfire being able to use his powers in a way to kind of bring down part of the building to give Gambit and him a way to get away from the actual ninjas of the Hand. Now, you do have Gambit and Sunfire being able to regroup with Wolverine, and when they do, you have Scylla just dip out because she realized that the battle is no longer in her favor because now it's 3 against 1. But you have Wolverine tell Gambit and also Sunfire, we're not going to chase her down. We're not going to fight the Hand. We came here to Tokyo to find Jubilee. So let's go ahead and find her and get the heck out of here. Now, I kind of want to jump back over to Jubilee and Yukio because I want to have a quick conversation about Yukio. Now, Yukio first appeared back in Wolverine #1, his first original series that was actually a mini-series. Now, when it came to Yukio, she was working for a character known as Lord Shingen. Now, Lord Shingen was actually the father to Mariko, the current leader of the, well, Yoshida clan. Now, when it came to Yukio, she kind of realized that she no longer wanted to go against Wolverine and actually wanted to help him out. And really, over the years, she will reappear sometimes to help out Logan when he's in Tokyo. But with that being said, because she found Jubilee and heard that Jubilee is a friend of Wolverine, she kind of wanted to help Jubilee to also help out Wolverine. Now, I want to jump back over to Riko because you have Riko realizing that she now has to leave Japan because if she doesn't, well, Masuo is going to kill her off because she was unable to complete the job that he had given her. Now, with that being said, though, when it comes to Riko, she does go over to a character known as Kojiro. And Kojiro has the ability to smuggle her out of the country. The problem is, though, she does not have the money to allow him to use his services. But we kind of find out that Homeboy is actually working with another group, not the Hand, but actually Hydra. Yes, we're bringing in more characters into the story arc. And we kind of find out that this Hydra group is being led by Silver Fox. Now remember, Silver Fox is the leader of this faction of Hydra, but we also know that she was part of Weapon X, and that's really it. We're still learning more about this character, but she wants to use Riko against Masuo and also Wolverine. Now, getting back over to Wolverine, Sunfire, and Gambit, they're kind of wondering what to do next. And really for Logan, he knows where he has to go next. He has to go to the one person he's really close to who has a lot of juice in Tokyo, a lot of power in Tokyo. And of course, that would be Mariko. Now, Mariko, she's currently having a meeting with the other leaders of the clan. And they're kind of talking about the idea of, should they actually hand the clan over to Masuo? Because this man is already a very powerful man with the Hand under his control. But at the same time, though, for Mariko, she's trying to move her clan away from the idea of being criminals. So why not go ahead and hand Masuo the keys to the criminal empire? Now, that is the moment where you have Silver Samurai walk in. Now, technically, that is her brother, but he also was supposed to be next in line for the clan as the leader of the clan, but unfortunately he was not chosen, she was. And with that being said, he feels like that she has been doing a horrible job, and right now he needs to step in and take over to bring honor back into the actual clan. Now you do have Wolverine arrive because Wolverine knows that if he needs some help, he can go to her. But the problem was, when it comes to Wolverine and Mariko, they were supposed to get married, but the wedding was officially stopped multiple times. But the last time it was stopped because to Mariko, she says they cannot get married until she's able to remove all the bad things about her clan, to bring her clan back on the side of good again. Until then, these two characters cannot be married. And matter of fact, Wolverine cannot be around her at all. But right now, he has no choice. He needs her help. And so she kind of feels like that he is here to help her with her Masuo problem, but in reality, he needs her help with the whole Jubilee problem. But on the outside of the home of the Yoshida clan, we do see Masuo arrive with his members of the Hand to have one last conversation with Mariko. And so this leads into the final chapter of today's video. And so as we get into the final chapter for today's video, we do pick up with Wolverine, Gambit, also Silver Samurai, working together to fight back against the forces of the Hand. The entire home of the Yoshida clan is now being destroyed left and right. Now, you have Mariko tell the heroes they have to escape. They have to go into the underground bunker inside the actual home of the clan. And so you have our heroes retreat, but we already know the Hand is not going to give up that easily. But getting back over to Masuo, you have Masuo just waiting for the Hand to be able to grab Wolverine, but to also be able to grab Mariko as well. But while he's outside waiting, well, that is when he is confronted by, well, Silver Fox. And remember, she caught Riko earlier, and so she brought Riko back here saying, I brought back the person who had failed you, and so I feel like you now owe me a favor. And so now you have the two leaders decide to sit down and have a conversation with one another. But getting back over to our heroes, we do learn that as they're trying to go to this underground bunker, they have to go through a maze. But this maze is set up with all kinds of traps to actually protect the bunker. So if the hand tries to come down there, then most likely the traps will kill them off. Now, once they're able to reach the bunker, you then have Wolverine and Mariko leave to have a private conversation with one another. Now, for Mariko, she wants to know why Wolverine is there for, because she believes that with him being there, it kind of ruins the whole idea of their arrangement. Because she said, you cannot come back here until I am able to make sure my clan is free from their past. But here he is right now, but he only came here because he needs her help to find Jubilee, but also figure out why the hand is coming after him. But either way, she does pull out his old Wolverine outfit, the yellow-brown outfit, saying maybe you should wear this as you go out there to fight against our enemies. But getting back over to Silver Fox and also Masuo, we do see that Masuo wants to kill off Riko for, well, failing her assignment. But you have Silver Fox say, no, let's not kill her. Let's actually use her to pull off your big game plan. And so you have the two leaders, again, sit back down to have another conversation on how they can use Riko to finish their jobs. Why have all those other things going on? We do see Jubilee and Yukio decide that they should go ahead and join in on this whole big, huge battle at the compound. And so they do swing their way inside the actual place. But getting back inside the bunker, you have Silver Samurai continue to talk bad about his sister, how she's a horrible leader, that he should take over and become the actual leader of the clan to bring honor back to the clan. But while he's saying all those different things, you then have someone come and say the alarms have been triggered. Somebody has entered the maze. And we do see that it is Riko. And they plan on using Riko as a way to get to Wolverine, but as a way to get to Mariko as well. But getting back over to Jubilee and Yukio, they're on the rooftop of the actual compound, the actual bunker. But while on the roof of it, you didn't have, well, Scylla appear because she's still after Wolverine. But she does know that she can use Jubilee as a way to get towards Wolverine. So she does create a hole in the actual bunker to allow Wolverine to see that Jubilee is now a prisoner. And so you have Gambit being able to blow Wolverine up into the sky to go onto the rooftops to fight against Zyla as a way to save Jubilee. Now you do have Riko being able to make it through the maze so that she's able to have a conversation with Mariko. And you have Riko say, listen, when it comes to Masuo, all he wants to do now is take over the clan, to go ahead and finish the original agreement. But he kind of feels like to make sure the trade can go through, you have to offer one of your fingers. And so you have Riko pull out a knife to say, use this knife as a way to cut off your finger and then everything will be done. And Masuo will let y'all live, but also he'll now become the ruler of the actual clan's criminal empire. But this leads into the very sad moment of the book. So let me explain. While you have Wolverine fighting against Zyla, well, you have Mariko and everyone else in the bunker kind of wondering, is the knife actually poison? Because if it is, it's going to kill off Mariko in a matter of minutes. But you have Riko say, no, the knife is not poison at all. Now, we do learn that it actually is poison because outside, you still have Masuo and Silver Fox talking to one another. And he says, listen, when it comes to Riko, over the years, she has taken in small portions of the actual poison to allow herself to become very immune to the actual poison. So if they try to test it on her, well, she won't die. But somebody who has not even taken a small portion of the actual poison is going to die in a matter of minutes. And so getting back inside for Mariko, she does test it on Riko. And Riko is all like, see, it's not poison. And so you have Mariko go ahead and use the knife on herself to show it was actually poison. And so now we're entering the death of Mariko. And you have Wolverine being able to work with Jubilee to get rid of Zyla, but then he realized that the woman he loves is on the verge of dying. And so you have Wolverine being able to go back down the bunker, pick up Mariko, go into a private room where she basically begs him to go ahead and kill her off because she hates the idea of just waiting for the poison to kill her off. But for Wolverine, it's kind of like they were so close in being able to reach their goal, being able to reach the goal of being a married couple. But unfortunately, it's now being taken away from them. And so Wolverine does it. And once he does, he walks out of the private room to show everyone what he had to do to the woman he loves. But with that being said, this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.